Hello everyone and welcome to the PCSS Connection. I'm your host Buddy Pearson, the Communications and Marketing Supervisor. Well, there are so many great principals who have served in Putnam County and who are still serving in Putnam County, but none of them have ever been recognized as the Principal of the Year in the state of Tennessee until now. Tina Frances Hodges was named the Tennessee Principal of the Year by the Tennessee Department of Education at its annual Excellence in Education celebration. Tina was attending the event with her family, and her daughter Ashley captured the announcement on video. Check out this reaction.
The 2023-24 Tennessee Principal of the Year is Miss Tina Frances.
Now, Tina's been celebrating all week, and the outpouring of congratulatory comments have been overwhelming. Now, we did have Tina on the very first episode of this podcast back in August, when she found out she was a finalist, and this is what she had to say about just being nominated.
I cannot talk about this award or designation, whatever, without saying I'm getting the recognition, but my teachers are the ones who deserve.
Sure.
I mean, I told them just today, I was like, you know, this is awesome, and I'm really excited. But I said, I want you to know, I realize I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for you.
Oh, yeah.
Because they make me look good.
Yeah.
And so I really, I feel like it's a good thing for Putnam County. You know, it lets people know, hey, we've got it going on, and even one of our teachers is one of the finalists.
Absolutely.
So that shows that our county is really focused on what's important in education. That Mr. King is, you know, directing us in the right direction, and so that's an honor too, to know that. You know, it makes our county look good, and we deserve that recognition because we're doing great work.
Now it's time to welcome in someone who has come close to winning the Teacher of the Year award for the state of Tennessee, and that's Margie Cavender. Margie, welcome to the PCSS Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today, Mr. Pearson. It's exciting. They've already chosen in August, so we know who won for middle, who won for west and east, and the grand winner. And it wasn't me, but it was a great experience. The state of Tennessee puts out a class act program. The banquet that we had was back in August. My principal, Tara Brooks, came and was there with me, which that was exciting. She had a lot going on, but she drove down after school that day and was there with me. But it's just an honor. There are so many great educators in Putnam County, and to be chosen at this level and the next level and at, you know, the Upper Cumberland level is very exciting, and it's a great way for me to end my career. So,
you know, a couple of weeks ago we talked about that process, about how to go. You first, you're your school's Teacher of the Year, and then you're nominated, and then you're the Putnam County Schools Teacher of the Year, and then you go and you're the, like you said, the region. One of 23.
And then 23 they narrow down to 9.
And you were one of the 9.
One of the 9.
Wow. Well, looking back now, I mean, you've gotten a lot of publicity since you retired. Did you ever get to experience something like that while you were teaching?
I did. I won it for countywide a long time ago. But I didn't go past the county, and then I won it at the school level, and then the second time I didn't win it. So this was a nice way to go out, and there's a lot of work with it, a lot of paperwork. The state looks for not only how you're a teacher in the classroom, but how you interact with the community and bring your classroom into the community, or bring the community into your classroom.
Yeah.
So.
Well, now that you're retired, does this kind of make you wish you were back in the classroom, or are you glad that you're retired?
I'm happy that I am retired. I have a grandson that's in kindergarten at Prescott South Elementary School, and I have a 2-year-old grandson that I keep a couple of days of the week. But it's just different. You're still busy. The mind and the body, tiredness, and the concern about your students that you know each personally, that you get to know each day and each week, and you just want what's best for them. I miss that.
Sure.
I've been back to homecoming, and then I went one other time to school to take someone something for their birthday. But other than that, I haven't substitute taught. They've asked me to, but right now I'm just spending time with my family and staying really busy.
Well, let's talk about your career in education. Where did it start?
I started out in Clay County, and I taught there for 3 years, and then I moved to Overton County and 3 years, and then I took time off and had my son, and then when he started to school, there was a job opening here in Putnam County, so Dr. Terry Anderson offered me the job, and I took it, and I've been at Prescott ever since.
And now, how long were you at Prescott before you retired?
I taught 33 years, and all but 6 of those were at Prescott.
Wow.
So I've been at Prescott, at the old Prescott over by Tennessee Tech.
Yes.
And then got to move to the new building with there. So it's been an exciting time for Prescott.
New building's a little bit better, isn't it?
It is, but the old building had character.
It did have character.
It had a lot of character, and I saw more people. Like now, when I taught in 5th grade, I just saw my people in my 5th grade. It's a big school, but each area is kind of marked off, and you just stay with your people, which for the kids, that's a good thing.
Now, did you teach 5th grade the whole time?
I did 5th grade English language arts.
Wow, for that long.
For that long, I did.
So easy to say you had your lesson plan ready to go pretty much each year.
No, not at all. Every 2 or 3 years, we got on a kick
Okay.
in reading for the state of Tennessee, or for a county. I shouldn't say kick. Trying something new.
Yeah.
And so you just get it ironed out sort of kind of the way you wanted it, and then we would change the curriculum. But a lot of that is each class is different. I was not a cookie-cutter teacher. You know,
Right.
you can't just give the same thing to everybody.
That's a good point.
Differentiating the instruction, making sure that everybody has just what they need. So you can't really put everything in a book in day 1, day 2, day 3.
Because every class is different.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Seeing kids come through, and I'm sure you may have had a chance to teach some of the kids that you were
I did.
able to
I
teach.
did.
What was that like?
It's exciting. I know this last class that I had last year, one of the parents walked up and she said, "Miss Cavender, you're going to have my son this year." And he happened to be in my homeroom, and they were a precious family. She was great then, and he was a great kid too. So kind of comes full circle.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to come back and have.
Well, I know you saw a lot of changes throughout
I did.
your career in education. What do you think were some of the biggest that you can remember? Obviously, technology had to be one of them.
Technology was a learning curve for me. There are friends that are younger than I am that have really helped me with that. Social emotional is a big thing that I think has changed a lot. Technology has allowed students to see things, TikTok, Instagram, in snippets of information. So when you have a detailed lesson and it's hard and it's, you have to go really in deep and keep focus and concentration, students struggle to do that. So it's not that you're putting on a dog and pony show,
Right.
but you do have to have a catch. And I always tried to build in every 15 or 20 minutes a brain break.
Okay.
Get up, do something different. Get up and tell someone what we're learning,
Yeah.
and go from there. So that was a challenge for me, but I'm not a sit and get kind of person.
Yeah.
I didn't have a desk in my classroom, a teacher's desk.
Really?
Because I didn't really sit at it. Now, I did have a table
Okay.
that I would pull my students to and teach them. We did a lot of station rotation, and whatever we were struggling with, lessons would be created for that, and then I would teach that to them.
Yeah.
So.
What are some of the favorite lessons that you were able to teach?
Novel study's great because you can pull in a lot of things that kids know about. And if they feel like they know something about it, they're more engaged. If they don't know anything about it, that wall comes up and they kind of shut down a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's when they can have some input. We do a little book called Wonderstruck, and it was all about changes and people who have different challenges in their life. And a lot of my kids could relate to that. Some were physical, some were whatever, but they liked that story. And part of the book was in pictures and part was in text. And so everybody can look at a picture and interpret it. So I think it wasn't as challenging or intimidating
Yeah.
for students. Everybody could say what they wanted to say about it, and it really wasn't a wrong answer. And I
Yeah.
think the kids liked that.
Now, do you miss that interaction with the kids every day? Because, you did it for 33 years, and, there's just something about knowing that you're making a difference in kids' lives when you come to school every day and then being part of their life for 9 months out of the year. Is that something that you miss?
I do miss it. I teach Bible class, and so I have littles. I
Yeah.
have 2s and 3s, 4s and 5s, 4s and 5s right now. And it's always something new. It's always something, a challenge.
Right.
But I do miss that. I do miss my people in the 5th grade hallway. They not only were my friends, they were my family.
Yeah. Well, how did you go 33 years? And you hear a lot about the term burnout. And you know, you burn out, teachers burn out, they burn out. How did you avoid burnout?
I think you have to do what you love. And when you pick something that you love, then it's not really going to be a hard job for you. My grandmother taught, my mother taught, my niece teaches at Parkview, my son teaches, my daughter-in-law teaches. So it's just always been something I've been around. And I could see through my mom and through my grandmother the experiences of helping out in the classroom. You know, when something, back then I could come in and help or do a
Sure.
craft or something. Now it's not exactly like that. It is, but there are more hoops to jump through to get there. But just seeing when they get it, or they know that somebody generally cares about them,
Sure.
they grow. And I think sometimes we base a lot on our test scores, and I know we have to, but social emotional growth too, that's a piece of the learning. If you don't have that, you have to meet those basic needs before you can move on to the hard things, you know, the hard, challenging
Sure.
skills.
Wow. Well, just you know, I'm sure you mentored a lot of teachers over the years, and you know there are a lot of high school students and college students that are looking at the teaching profession. What's some of the things? And one of your former students that you know, my daughter Savannah, is going to be an
Absolutely.
elementary school teacher.
Absolutely, and she was an excellent student.
But she's going into that field. So you see them coming up. What's some of the advice that you would give to them?
I would say, number one, do what you love. If your heart is not in it, it's not easy. You don't get your summers off. You know, all those things that people say about
Right.
us as
A
educators.
lot of myths.
There are a lot of myths. But do what you love and be passionate about it. You know, find ways to bring what you love into the classroom. And I'm not going to say be their buddy, but you have to have a connection with them. They have to know that you care about them, that you're there for them. Just after I retired, I couldn't believe how many students emailed me and said, "Hey, you were my teacher. Hey," you know, those kind of things. I want to give a shout out to Natalie Beach. Natalie Beach and she teaches at Tennessee Tech now, and we first got acquainted at Prescott. She taught there side by side, and she had pre-K, and my 5th graders read with her pre-K students.
Okay.
Did a lot of work. Every Friday morning we'd go read. Well, she moved away, got married. Well, she came back and taught at Prescott Elementary. So we channeled that back up, got it going, and 4 times a year, the week before all of our breaks, I would take my 5th graders down and they would read with her students the week before we would break. And it was really great, but she did something that was very over the top for me. She made me a yearbook. Every student I ever taught, she copied the yearbook. She interviewed, she had people email her, and she put those writings and all those memories,
Wow.
teachers and
Really?
students, in a big yearbook. And so what a great memory. So I want to give a shout out to her.
Isn't that special?
It is. And in that were some of the students that I had.
Yeah.
And one of the things that a lot of students said, and you don't realize that you're making a connection.
Right.
One student said, I felt safe in your class. I felt like I could tell you something and you weren't going to judge me. So you don't need to be there. I guess you're more like a mentor to them.
Sure.
You have to do the academic piece, but you also have to do the social emotional piece. So be willing to put your heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
And I guess realize that at the end of the day, your day doesn't end. You know,
'Cause you take it
holidays,
home with
you
you.
do. And even if you don't take the work home to grade, there's still that place in your heart that you're thinking about those kiddos, like on the weekends.
Yeah.
Is everybody okay? Are things going well? Are you
Sure.
safe? Are you fed? Are you, all those things that, that you do as a teacher. But just make sure it's for you. And in education right now, we're in like a 4-year or less. People will get into it. It's not what I signed up for. They'll
Right.
say, I've talked to many people that said it just wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. I mean, and they were in classrooms and they learned, but I think people just don't understand how it is.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it has to do with discipline and the attitudes of the students and the way they're
That's true.
perceived. So, how did you deal with difficult students, or what did you do from a discipline perspective?
Well, I would say pick your battles.
Yeah,
I know early on I worked with a lady and she said, you can make these kids do everything you want them to do, and they'll be miserable, and so will you. And that's true.
that's true.
But, you know, if every time somebody talks, well, I like to talk.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like to sit. I like to get up and move around. And if that's or if you don't bring a pencil, well, sometimes I forget my pencil, you know,
Yeah.
those kind of things. I try to put things like that, or I did when I taught, in place so that everybody kind of has a level playing field.
Sure.
And it made it not so hard for everybody.
Yeah. You know, I know you've mentored teachers, but now there's some teachers that are in your place. They've been named Teacher of the Year at their respective schools, and they're going to be coming to the central office. They're going to be going through that interviewing process to be named a county Teacher of the Year and hopefully go on to the district. What do you tell those teachers? Because we released that list a couple of weeks ago, and just what an outstanding list of teachers,
Absolutely,
educators.
I
in
saw
Putnam
it.
County. Yeah, and that's something.
It was, and
Yes.
several of those people I had worked with or knew, some I didn't know, but I'll be sitting on the panel for that.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. It's hard for
So you can't tell them too much because you're on the panel.
No, I'm not. But I will say this: teachers, it's hard to brag on yourself.
It is.
It's a very humble profession. You know, it's not all about me. Hey, look at me. I'm amazing. I'm great. But when you're writing that out in paper, you have to toot your own horn. And most teachers are not that. I know when I wrote mine, I let some of my friends read it, and they'd say, you just kind of skimped on this. You know, they didn't change the words,
Right.
but they said, you know, put yourself forward, tell about what you do. And that's hard for us as educators to do that.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your family.
I'm married to my husband, Tim, and he is semi-retired CPA, and I have a son, Brad. He teaches STEM, I guess it's STEAM, at Capshaw.
Okay.
And then my daughter-in-law teaches second grade at Prescott Elementary School. And then I have two little grandsons, Bennett and Bodie, and they're just the light of my life.
So you're both your son and your daughter-in-law both teach.
Yes.
So do you have those conversations when you get together?
We do, but we don't. I know it's really hard to keep things very confidential.
Sure.
Sometimes if there's something weighing, you know, that we need to talk about, or, you know, hypothetically you can say things, but we really don't. On vacation, my husband, he's always like, you know, there won't be any teacher talk on here.
'Cause he's
that's
not a
hard.
teacher,
That's
yeah.
true. That's true. But he's been in the mix, so it's just different. It is.
Yeah. Has he enjoyed you being home more?
He does. Things run a lot smoother when I'm there. We go out every Wednesday morning. We go to Cracker Barrel. That's every Wednesday morning we just shut down and just go do that. So that's something that we've kind of gotten a habit of.
Right.
Haven't traveled yet. I just have really been focusing on being home and just relaxing. We have several things that we're looking at to do. We had traveled a bit earlier when we were first married. We've been married almost 37 years, December 6th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that's exciting, but things do run smoother when you're home.
Yeah.
It just does. It's just a calmer, slower pace.
Well, you know, we just finished up the Thanksgiving break, and you didn't have to be one of those teachers like, I got to go back after Thanksgiving, because there's really a short time between Thanksgiving and the Christmas
Absolutely.
break. And I would imagine that trying to keep kids and just keep that excitement down, temper that excitement that they have would be a challenge.
It is, but you want kids to want to be out with their families and be
Yeah.
home with their families. You know, we live in a society that goes really fast.
Yeah.
And they see a lot of things and know a lot more things than I did when I came through middle school. But it is a good time. Middle school is the changing. They're not little, but they're not grown yet either, and that's a really good time to mentor students and help them grow academically and social emotionally and everything that they need. So.
Yeah. Wise words from Margie Cavender, our guest here on the PCS Connection. Big plans for the holidays?
No, just kick back. My sisters and I, we have a lot of extended family, and they have a lot of children, and so we always go Dr. Martin Luther King weekend, and we all go to the mountains and stay in condos, and we all
Nice.
spend Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday together, and so that's always really fun. But we'll just do something quiet and something fun here.
Do you have
and
any
be together as
special
family.
dish that you cook?
I don't know. I like to make dressing.
Yeah.
I usually am the person that makes the dressing. I like to make desserts, a strawberry cake with strawberry icing. Those are good things.
That's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy, retired schedule to come and talk to us here.
Well, thank you for having me today. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to a great holiday season.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. And the PCSS Connection continues with Karolyn Thacker, who is a teacher at White Plains Academy. Karolyn just so happens to be the Teacher of the Year at White Plains. Of course, we just had Margie Cavender on, who knows what it's like to be the Teacher of the Year. She was the Putnam County Teacher of the Year, the District Teacher of the Year. So she had some good advice for those. You have to go back and look at the interview.
I will.
It might give you a little insight whenever you come and do your interview.
Okay.
So has it been a busy day? It looks like it's been a busy day.
It's been a really busy day and a busy few weeks.
You know, you had a big event at White Plains Academy. Tell us about
I
that.
did. The Monday before Thanksgiving, we had STEM Day, and I'm the STEM teacher at White Plains. So with Derek Potter from the Tennessee Tech STEM Center and James Isbell, we planned a STEM Day, and so we decided to have it the Monday afternoon before Thanksgiving because a lot of times those days are just kind of hard to fill.
Yeah.
You know, the students, are squirrely and the teachers are squirrely, and so we just decided to have our STEM Day, and it really turned out really well. We had the planetarium set up in the gym. We had a DoBot, which did a pick and place with a sensor, so like if the block's blue, it would sense the color blue.
Right.
And that group also had a augmented reality and a virtual reality demonstration. We had the electric vehicles from Tennessee Tech there. We also had the Foundry there. Foundry in a Box came. And I know he's been to other schools in Putnam County, but
Yeah.
he had never been to White Plains,
That's
so it's
awesome.
really good. We also had the Go One robot dog, which was awesome.
If you like robot dogs.
Yes, if you like robot dogs. And it sat up and begged.
Oh, wow.
And it was really sweet. And I think the elementary students would have followed it anywhere you had wanted to take them. It was almost like Pied Piper. And then we had Ethan Johnson, who has a business, K-Town Bricks. His mom is a teacher at our school. And he came and presented. He makes Legos, and he does castings and 3D printing and, lots of little figures that go together. And so he gave them some demonstrations of what he does and brought them some little figures, and they were enthralled with that. And then we had another 3D printing in my lab. A young man from Tech brought a 3D printer, printed out some little eagle heads for White Plains and some Tennessee Tech keychains that he gave out and things like that, and demonstrated some 3D. We couldn't really get them involved too much in the 3D printing, but I do that with my STEM group. But it was really a fun day. I think the students learned a lot. They learned about some careers that uses STEM.
Sure.
They learned about some of the different things that are advancing in technology, like the electric vehicles, the robot dog, what the robot dog could be used for in actual application. Military, but other stuff too, research and even various, secular things, but like things that involve coding and, just various things like that. So it was really interesting. The kids had a lot of fun. They got to keep some little medallions that they had cast, just some different things that was a little bit more involved in just having people come talk about a career.
Now,
So
what allowed you to have this much fun? I guess I should have said, what's your position at White Plains Academy?
I am the STEM teacher.
Yeah.
I teach STEM 1, 2, and 3, which involves robotics too. So, and I teach an E4USA class, which is engineering for us all. And so it kind of gives them a lot of hands-on projects, and I'm the one that gets to do the fun things. I do robots, I do 3D printing, I do laser engraving. Well, I, meaning me and the students
Right,
do. I
yeah.
mean, I get to teach the kids
Sure.
how to do that using AutoCAD to draw their figures and then print it out. We have, we have 2 robots and some personal robots. We have 5 3D printers. We have a laser engraver. We have 2 do-bots, which that's what one of the pick and place thing that they brought. That was, and so they could actually see some other applications of that.
Yeah.
But I got received a grant last year from TVA so that I got to purchase the second do-bot. So now we have 2 do-bots with the conveyor belt. So you get to I get to kind of teach the students about industry, you know, and what a factory might actually use robots for.
Sure.
And so, you know, lots of new fun equipment that they get to learn on, and they get to learn to code. You know, it's not just fun, hands-on. They're actually learning, but they don't always realize
Yeah.
it.
They're having
So,
fun, but they're
yeah.
actually learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Now, how long have you been at White Plains Academy?
I have been at White Plains for 15 years. This is my 15th year. I taught math for 12 of those, and this is my 3rd year in STEM, or
Now-
4th year in STEM, maybe.
White Plains Academy obviously is a challenging place to teach.
It is.
What is
Can
it
be.
that keeps you there, that has kept you there for 15 years?
Mostly kids.
Yeah.
The kids. I mean, I do have a great boss, Mr. Joe Matheny, and I have some great coworkers, and so they're a big part of it too. But it's mostly the students. You get attached, and they're not there very long.
Right.
So that's kind of the hard part because they do cycle in and out a lot. But it's a calling, and you know, they just get to your heart. And, you know, you want to help all of them that you can. You want to show them that, you know, they can be successful. And just, you know, help them see that even as adults, we all screw up too.
Yeah.
You know, we make mistakes
Right.
too.
Yeah.
We're not perfect. And so just to show them that even though they've messed up, or what their mess ups might be, that they can still be successful, and they can still be good citizens in, you know, in our community. And even if they decide to go to a different community, they can still be good citizens. And so the students are the biggest part. And yes, my boss and my coworkers are a part of that too, because I work with some pretty great people.
Now, has your entire education career been spent at White Plains Academy?
No. I started out at Cookeville. My first year teaching ever was at Cookeville High and Upperman. So I was at Upperman for one class period.
Okay.
And then I traveled
Drove to
to
Cookeville High.
Cookeville High for the last, 4 or 5 periods of the day. And that was my first year,
You did that every day?
every day.
Wow.
Every day. And I was a new teacher. I had taught a CAD class with Nashville State, but that's adults.
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
You don't have the same kind of classroom management kind of issues. You know,
Yeah.
they pay to be there, so they want to be there. So there was several mornings I left crying
Yeah.
from Upperman. But I just decided that pull up my
Yeah.
big girl pants and keep going, that the kids weren't going to beat me. And it was tough. That
Yeah.
first year was tough. The second year, I was solely at Cookeville High. They hired a person to take my place at the one spot and be a second CTE teacher there. So the second year, I was solely at Cookeville High. And after that, I started getting certified to teach math because I wasn't a certified teacher. I was coming in on a waiver and a CTE type certification I was working to receive that certification, but I wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
But I decided that math was where I felt like I could, I don't know, I just felt like it wouldn't be as up and down, because
Yeah.
CTE classes can sometimes, which now I'm back in CTE, but at a CAD class, sometimes there can be, sometimes you're needed and sometimes you're not.
Right.
So I decided that math would be where I needed to go. And so then I went to White County for a year. And then I was up at Pickett County for a year getting all the requirements I needed to be certified. And then once I got my certification and took all my praxis tests, then I come back to Putnam County. And that's when I interviewed with Mr. Matheny and got the job at White Plains.
Yeah.
So it's been a little bit up and downs. I've got my engineering degree from Tennessee Tech, so
Okay.
I'm a mechanical engineer. So I went from engineering to teaching, but I went to teaching math. So that's my strongest suit, and it was a little bit of a challenge at
I'm sure.
first because I didn't go through education.
Yeah.
I did have to take some education classes
Right.
when I got my certification, but it was, it's different. And so I was kind of a non-traditional teacher, and there's tough parts about that, but then, you get your feet under you and you learn how to manage the classes and you learn how to teach things that you've known, most of your life, those kind of things. But it was interesting for sure. But
So if there's I actually had an engineering student ask me about teaching in the Putnam County school system, and he's going to get his degree in engineering. So what would you tell him as far as, coming in after getting your engineering degree and then teaching in the school system?
I guess the biggest thing is you still have to learn some of the things that is in an education, in the education bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
There's some things you need to learn and
Right.
know. I had to take 6 classes and the praxis test before I could teach math.
Sure.
So there's some things you still want to do. There's some things you still want to work on. But truthfully, and the education people would probably tell you this as well, you can take classes all day long, but until you get in that classroom,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
learn.
Baptism by fire.
Yeah, exactly. You don't learn classroom management until you have to manage your own classroom,
Right.
And so there is a little bit we miss from not doing the education bachelor's degree. Student teaching or some mentoring or shadowing might be a good idea, for somebody like that that's kind of on a non-traditional path that thinks they may teach. It's just, there's some things and there's lots of good coming out of engineering. I worked in engineering
Right.
for 8 or 9 years before I ever did this, but, there's some things you'll learn as you go, but there's lots of good things in child psychology and, classroom management classes. There's some classes that he or she, I don't know which it was, could do.
Yeah.
But there's lots of stuff you're going to learn as you go. But mentoring or shadowing someone might be a really good place to
Yeah.
start, just to make sure
Good
that
advice.
it's something you want to do.
Right.
Kind
Yeah.
of get in
Just
there.
make
But,
sure, yeah.
because there's no student.
You might have an idea that's what you want to do, but then.
Yeah. And then some people get into it, like some people even that have done the non-traditional things through like Teach Tennessee.
Yeah.
They do like a 2-week thing and then
Right.
they're ready to go.
Yeah.
They jump in there and that's like, I had a friend that did that in the media actually in Cookeville, and she went to Cookeville High and it wasn't
No.
for her. It's just sometimes it's not
Yeah,
what you
sometimes
expect it
it's
to
not,
be,
right.
So,
Well, I know you don't like to brag on yourself, but we'll go ahead and brag on you. You were recently named the Teacher of the Year for White Plains Academy. Congratulations.
thank you.
So 15 years, is this the first time that this has happened?
No, I've been one other time
Okay.
for Teacher of the Year, and I've been Rotary Teacher of the Year once too. So
So this is old hat.
it's old.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. It's an honor.
Yeah.
It really is an honor, and I think I've learned a lot since the first time I was nominated. So I really am privileged to be White Plains Teacher of the Year.
And you'll be going, interviewing for, the County Teacher of the Year, and that process is coming up. You've been through it before. Are you looking forward to that?
No,
Yeah.
not really. To be
Just
honest,
being honest,
just
yeah.
to be honest, it's a tough process,
Yeah.
and the Miss Johnson, my cohort that's right across the hall, we were just talking about it because I got my application handed in and everything and set up my interview. She was Teacher of the Year for White Plains last year. And she's like, it was a lot more rigorous than I thought it'd be. I was like, I know, I'm sorry. I should have talked to you more about it. But it is a lot more than what you think it'd be. It'd almost be like a new job interview.
Really?
You know, you're sitting in a room like this and
Yeah.
you're there, but there's like 4 or 5 of them and they ask you questions and it's not just like, oh, well, what's your teaching philosophy? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's tough questions.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's, and I know you're being interviewed for County Teacher of the Year. So
Sure.
they want to know,
Yeah.
you know, those tough things and they want to see how you respond. And so it's not a lot of fun, but you know, it is what it is. It'll be good. It's
Well, what
all
about
good.
this question? What do you like the best about your job?
Well, right now, what I like best about my job is that I am getting to use my engineering background and teach my students,
Yeah.
you know, and so that's why when Mr. Matheny approached me several years ago when our STEM teacher left, if I wanted the job, then I was really pleased with that because I love teaching math. That's my best subject. I love it. But it was a little monotonous. I was getting a little bit, not bored, but I was getting a little bit burnout of it. And I feel like this is the best of both worlds. This takes all my math knowledge, but also brings in my engineering degree.
Yeah.
And so I get to teach my students. And, you know, you're always teaching them math. You're always teaching them English. Like
Right.
the other day, we had to write 5 sentences. Oh my gosh, you would have thought I was killing them to make them write
They
5
never had to write
sentences.
250 sentences for talking back in the day, did they?
No, they have not.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's getting to use my engineering knowledge and degree
Yeah.
along with my teaching and my math that have taught them for years.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all combined. Plus I get to be the fun teacher.
Yeah. It's fun. And it is
So
fun.
I
STEM
am
is fun.
STEM is fun.
You know,
and
I've
it's
seen
just-
that the engraver, the 3D printer that you have. That thing's awesome. I mean, you can just sit there and make all kinds of stuff. I mean, how do you not just want to sit there and play
Right.
and create
Yeah.
stuff
you
all
want
day?
to create stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the fun stuff for them to get to do. You have to kind of learn the background knowledge, and that's what I have to teach them. So they got to realize that there is some work to be done, but then they get to do the fun stuff,
Awesome.
you know.
Well, it's
So.
been fun having you on the PCSS Connection. I hope you're having a
you.
fun semester
Thank
too.
you.
And it seemed
It's
like
fun.
STEM Day was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and Derek and James were a lot of help to me, and they've been wonderful. So shout out to them. But hopefully we're going to get to do it as a more annual type thing.
Awesome.
And so it was a lot of fun, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Well, that's going to do it this week. Thanks to our guests, Karolyn Thacker and Margie Cavender, who we had on earlier. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, and God bless.